It's been over a year since I last talked about GFunds under GInvest. For the most part, I've focused a lot of my time, resources, and money on S&P 500 funds. Unfortunately, until now, GFunds still does not have an investment fund that focuses on the S&P 500. So how is my GFund portfolio doing? Is it still around? Have I already sold it? This is what we'll look to cover, so let's go. But before anything, if you are new to this channel, hi, I'm Mark. It's nice to meet you. In this channel, I talk a little bit about lifestyle, but I mostly talk about business and investments. We've done a lot of GCash GInvest videos since its launch in 2021. I've always given you an update on their new funds and how the funds are performing. But lately, I guess I've been a little more low-key on it. So this is me coming out of my GInvest hiatus. I've put in my money in 5 investment funds under GFunds. Now, there are more than just 5 investment funds, so I did not invest in all. So let's go through them one by one. So let's start with the funds that were launched in 2021. So for these first 2 funds, I've been invested in them for a little over 3 years now. The first of these would be the ATRAM Global Technology Feeder Fund. I invested 1,000 pesos in this. Currently, the value of my 1,000 peso investment is at 1,640. This means that my investment here has a return of over 64%. It's too bad that I only put 1,000 pesos here. Why? I'll share with you later on. Had I put in 100,000 pesos 3 years ago, this would be 164,000 pesos already. Again, that's a 64% return. The ATRAM Global Technology Feeder Fund is the best performing one since the recent upswing with technology stocks has really caused this sector to rally. As mentioned in one of my previous videos, AI is really leading the way. The sentiment is really bullish about companies who are in the business of making AI technology available. So under the portfolio of the ATRAM Global Technology Feeder Fund would be Microsoft and Taiwan Semiconductors. Of course, you have your usuals, Google, Facebook, Apple. Let's move on to the second fund. The second fund that we're covering is the ATRAM Global Consumer Trends Feeder Fund. Now for this one, this is in the negative. After 3 years of having been invested in this fund, my investment of 1,000 pesos is currently valued at 739 pesos and 13 centavos. So this is a loss of about 26%. Earlier we talked about big gains for this fund. Had we put in the same 100,000 pesos, it will only be valued at 73,900 pesos. So I guess the point here is to be cautious. I mean, it's easy to say the gains after looking back on them, but you see that you are equally at risk. Why is this Consumer Trends Fund down? One of the reasons that this fund is down is that when this fund launched, it actually had C Limited, which is the holding company behind Shopee. C Limited, unfortunately, has taken a beating in the stock market in the last 3 years. C Limited, formerly Garena, actually lost over 25 to 30% of its market value since its peak. So I think that's a big contributory factor. Let's move on to the third fund. This third fund is something that we've talked a lot about on this channel. This launched a little later than the first set of funds that GInvest launched with. This fund is coming from BPI-ALFM. This is the ALFM Global Multi-Asset Income Fund. I had invested 4,000 pesos in this fund. And again, we've liked this fund because it gives us regular monthly dividends. If you want to know more about this fund, you can check out my videos or playlist down below. So anyway, my investment of 4,000 pesos is now valued at 4,104 pesos. So more or less, this is break even. This is really a gain of 2.5%. It's not a great performing fund in terms of its NAV2 or net asset value per unit return. What's great about this fund, again, is the monthly dividends. And the fourth on this list is the ATRAM Global Healthcare Feeder Fund. This fund is focused on the health and medical sector, so pharmaceuticals, medical equipment. This is one of the newer funds that GFunds launched just last year. So this performance is just a little over a year old. I invested 1,000 pesos in this fund. Its current value is at 1,125 pesos and 93 centavos. So this is a return of about 12.5%. So not bad for a 1-year return. And lastly, the fifth fund that I invested in is the ATRAM Philippine Equity Smart Index Fund. Its current value is at 6,996 pesos and 44 centavos. The thing though is I'm not really sure how much I invested in this fund. Unfortunately, since I'm doing a bit of an experiment here, I'm putting in 50 pesos every day. Sometimes I forget, so I'll make up for it. A few days later, I'll put in 100, 200, depends on how many days I missed. Actually, that's one of the reasons why I haven't put in more money in GFunds. You're not really able to see how much you invested. That's why I've kept my original investments as is, so that I could remember how much I've put in. So it always only reflects the current value. I think there's a way to do it. Of course, you can write to ATRAM's customer support. You can ask them for your statement of account and you can see there how much you've invested. But for convenience and for daily monitoring, that's what's been inconvenient about GFunds. You're just not really able to see how much you invested. If GFunds is able to fix this and you're able to see what you invested, what is your percentage, and what is its current value, then I have no problem in putting in more of my money in GFunds. But unfortunately, until they fix this, I can only keep my investment to what it is right now. Especially since I've mentioned, I've been focusing more on the S&P 500. Overall, I think it's a safer, more reliable benchmark that has proven its worth over many years or even decades. So that is actually my wish list. This is what I'm asking GCash, GInvest, and GFunds to do. I hope you guys can come up with an S&P 500 fund under GFunds so that we Filipinos can more easily invest in S&P 500 funds. And second would be, please include how much I've invested and how much is my percentage return, and not just display the current value and performance of my fund, because I need to be able to compare that. I'm sure everyone watching here would also appreciate that. So how are your GFunds performing? Let me know in the comment section which are your favorite ones. What improvements would you like GInvest and GFunds to make? If you've liked this video, please don't forget to like, comment, and consider subscribing if you haven't already. Thanks again for watching, guys, and happy investing.